Well, welcome to episode number 6. My name is Chris. This is the Ultimate Football Show podcast. I'll be here with Gary Chivers, former footballer, to look at some of the games on Matchday number 6 that are coming up. We'll also hear from John Gus Ferguson as well, with his thoughts on some of the England squad. We're very happy to support the Lillywhite Foundation.com, advancing young people through sport. For more information, visit Lillywhitefoundation.com. Well, we've got 4 more games coming up on Matchday 6, featuring both England and Wales. You're listening to the Ultimate Football Show podcast with Gary Chivers. Wales-Iran. Wales didn't turn up in the first half against the USA, did they? I mean, they must have had a good team talk at half-time to get them in the second half mode.
Well, I just couldn't believe their sort of attitude. Like you said, they looked lackadaisical on the ball. They weren't quick enough. They didn't move the ball quick enough. Then all of a sudden, they livened up. And it was a good game, to be quite honest with you. One of the best games I've seen in this World Cup.
Did the USA just run out of steam? Because the first 45, they were full non-stop, weren't they? And then the second half, they had nothing. They just seemed to totally run out of gas.
Well, you've hit the nail on the head there. I mean, they look different class, and they look really, really good in that first half. But all of a sudden, they look so tired in the second half. And it was another good game, Chris. I quite enjoy these games when it's really end-to-end stuff, and that's what it was.
We said, didn't we, comically, right early on in our podcast, one of the early episodes, we don't know a lot about Iran, so they'll be rubbish. And they were, weren't they? I mean, they were absolute non-entity. Although they did score 2 goals against England. We'll talk about England letting in a couple of goals. But Wales, if they have the attitude from the second half, where Bale got much more involved and the midfielders actually started servicing him, they're going to beat Iran, and then all of a sudden Wales would have a chance of qualifying, I suppose you'd have to say.
Well, they got a great chance of qualifying, because, you know, when you looked at that USA side, England are going to beat them, aren't they?
Yeah.
And Iran, as I'm looking at all the games at this present moment in time, that's the worst team I've seen at the moment. They look disorganised. They was all over the shop. Could have been a cricket score, to be quite honest with you. I was really disappointed. And it sounds, I'm not having a go at England or anything like that, but to give away 2 goals, against them.
I mean, their centre forward is pretty good. He plays for Porto, their centre forward from Iran, but he's the only player in that team that would even look at signing on any basis. No one else shone at all, did they?
Well, they just came there and defended. And now, I mean, I've seen every single game of the World Cup, and by far, that's the worst team I've seen at the moment.
Yeah. Wales-Iran started off on Friday. The second game in their group, it's Group B, of course. We've got Group A as well on Friday. Qatar taking on Senegal. Qatar were even more shocking than Iran, probably. I mean, they didn't even have a shot on goal, I don't think. And if they did, it's probably offside anyway. But Senegal let down by Mendy. I mean, you would have thought we thought we had a decent keeper there, but 2 mistakes, 2 goals late in the game as well.
Well, he came flying out for the cross, Chris, and if you look at it, as he's come out halfway through the air, he's actually turned his head because he knows he's nowhere near the ball. He's come out like Superman. He's got one fist in front of him, and he's come flying through the air. And I'm thinking, oh no. The guy's got his head on the ball, and if you see it in slow motion, he's quickly turned his head at the back of him, watching the ball go into the back of the net. I mean, yeah, not a good decision. Not a good decision.
And then he spilt the second shot, didn't he, for the second goal? So it was a bad 10 minutes. And late in the game as well, that must be soul-destroying for defenders, isn't it?
You're always told as a goalkeeper, you know, you don't put the ball back into the action. And that's exactly what he done. As the ball's coming to him, it's got to go either away for a corner or just out to that right-hand side, which he should have done. But he's put it right back in the action, right at the guy's feet to just slot it home. Yeah, two bad goals to give away.
We said early on that they'd miss Sadio Mane in the first game. He's going to miss the whole World Cup. And Senegal don't look like they've got any strikers that can replace him.
He's a great player as well, Sadio Mane. Anyone will miss him if he's not playing in your side. But obviously, he's the major focal point of that team. And it must be a great miss. It must be a great miss for him to go all the way over there and not be playing and missing his World Cup.
So moving on to Netherlands and Ecuador. And Enner Valencia scored both the goals for Ecuador. They looked pretty good. He looked pretty good, but he went off with a bit of an injury. He'd be a major loss, wouldn't he, if Valencia couldn't play in the second game?
Yeah, a decent player. Really, really good movement off the ball. And if someone's going to come to the fore in this World Cup, Enner Valencia be one of these players. I mean, they always showcase the good players, and he is a decent player, knows the game and knows where the goal is. Who'd
have thought we'd be concentrating on 3 players from Brighton and Hove Albion? Gary, I mean, come on. They've got 3 in the Ecuador squad. 2 of them played. Estepinian came on as well. Caicedo looked as good as he has done for Brighton all the way through. And Sarmiento is the other one. 3 players from Brighton in one squad, and they all look pretty good, don't they? They must have some scouting system at Brighton.
They've got a great scouting system there. I mean, all the players are unheard of, the ones they bring in, and all of a sudden they have them, and everyone's up for sale. The Blooms put everyone up for sale, and they're good players. That Estepino, when he come on, the pace of him, and he's got tremendous pace. I haven't really seen that at the Amex yet, but and Caicedo, I mean, if there's one player that will be crowned player of the season, I mean, I know we're only halfway through the season, he's the one to be player of the season at Brighton.
Yes, him or Trossard, isn't it? If Trossard keeps scoring, that'll help him, of course. But it's the young players like Kante for France and Chelsea and Caicedo for Brighton who do the hard work and win the ball back and just play the easy ball off and a nice pass here and there. Don't give it away. That's the main thing, isn't it, in that position? Yeah,
you just need to keep hold of the ball. But also, he makes runs forward. He sees a gap. He's not frightened to... Whereas Kante just plays in that holding role. Caicedo, he makes forward runs and he tries to get up with the forwards. He's looking to score as well. He's got a decent shot on him from 25 yards.
And the final game on a Friday, match day 6, is in Group B. It's England against the USA. A 7 o'clock kickoff UK time. We couldn't have dreamt that England would have popped up with 6 on the opening day up against Iran. They played really well. They did exactly what we hoped they would do, didn't they? They said, we're the better team. We're going to go forward. We're going to dominate and we're going to take it to the opposition. And look what it did. In 6 goals, there could have been more. It was great to watch.
Oh, it was fantastic to watch. I mean, it gave the country a big boost against, you have to say, a poor side. But it was the manner in which they played. They looked to get forward. You just mentioned there that they had the full-backs running down the right and the left-hand side. That everyone was looking to get shots off left, right, and centre. But it was a decent performance against a poor side. But you look at this USA side. This USA side is not a great side. It's not a great side, and I expect England to do exactly the same thing against them.
Do you think because USA played well in the first half, didn't it? As we said, against Wales. Do you think England will let them play and run themselves out of steam again, or do you think England will go for it from the get-go?
I would really like them to start quick and early and get at them straight away. Don't let them settle. We know about the striker Pulisic up front, who runs his socks off for the States, by the way.
Yeah.
and plays well for him.
But doesn't he have a more of a freedom role there? He can do what he wants, go where he wants.
Well, he takes all free kicks. He takes corners. He's one of these. You wouldn't want him in the playground, otherwise you wouldn't get the kick of the ball. He takes everything: throw-ins, free kicks, headers. He does a lot. He's like a one-man band. But I expect the England side to drown him out this game.
Yeah. Bellingham played well, didn't he? For 19, when I was 19 and when you were 19, I don't think we're anywhere near that kind of level physically or mentally. Just to put a game like that together in the World Cup and to take it in your stride, amazing, really, isn't it?
And he goes forward. He goes forward well. You always need one of your midfield players to get in the box. And when the ball went out wide, I thought, well, wow. He's in the box and great header and a good finish. But you've always got Declan Rice behind you, covering you in case he doesn't.
And he knows that, and that's a big help, isn't it? Obviously, he knows he's got cover behind. Listen, we've got maybe one problem there, which is Harry Kane had another ankle issue. He's got off for a scan, I believe. If he doesn't play against the USA, what would your option be with Gareth Southgate? He's got a chance of bringing Callum Wilson in, direct replacement. You could play Marcus Rashford as a striker. He scored on after 2-3 minutes of coming on. Or he could play Sterling in that false nine and then bring Foden in on the left and give you more of a three-striker option, smaller strikers, but they're really tricky, and Saka's in great form as well. So what would you do if Harry doesn't play in the second game?
Me, I'd go for pace. I'd play Marcus Rashford. He's the guy. He's hungry for goals. Did very, very well the other day. Took his goals well. Looks decent. I'll play Rashford. I'd always go for pace. He's definitely got, and he seems a little bit more easier in himself, Marcus Rashford. He's had he ain't had the best of seasons, but to me, when he puts on that England shirt, he always gives 100%.
You got to say he's not the great season, but neither had Harry Maguire, and I've been slating him all the way through. But I know it was Iran, and it wasn't. We let 2 goals in, but he had a solid game. He hit the bar. He looked, a menace in the opposition box. But as a defender, and you mentioned it right at the start of the episode. As a defender, you're playing against Iran. You've scored 6 goals, and you've let 2 in. I mean, that must just be sort of really sort of sour taste in the defenders' mouths to concede 2 goals to Iran, because other teams are going to score more than that against England if they let them have those chances.
Yeah, they must have been disappointed. I looked at Jordan Pickford's face at the end of the game, and he was irate. He was going mental, and rightly so as well, because against a team like that where you've dominated and you're 6 up, and you think, don't give away a goal. Always, you'd rather win 4-0, 5-0, 6-0. Yeah. All of a sudden, them 2 goals against them is a hard pill to swallow, to be quite honest with you. And if I was a back 4 man playing and I'd let 2 goals in, I'd be disappointed. I'm Gary Chivers.
I'm Chris Barnett.
And this is the Ultimate Football Show podcast.
Harry Kane is obviously the golden boy at Tottenham. Is he enough for us, for the England team, to lead us to any kind of World Cup glory in Qatar?
Harry's clearly a world-class player. He's done it for X amount of seasons now at Tottenham, time and time again. He looks deflated at the moment, I have to say, and I'm hoping that body language and that sort of momentum doesn't carry into the World Cup. It might be a nice break from him, actually, away from club level football and the trials and tribulations going on at Tottenham, trying to play under a system that for most of the fans in the stadium watching doesn't work. And he's probably carrying the team and the weight of the team on his shoulders, especially the last few months with no Richarlison or no Son, and you start to think maybe he's going to flourish a little bit in Qatar, where not so much will be expected of him. He's with 11 other, world-class players. So technically,
hopefully.
So I hope to see him do well. Harry's one of the best finishers I've ever seen, but it's about whether he gets the service and whether what he's required to do as a role.
What do you expect from England in this World Cup? Quarter-finals, semis? Can they go to the final? Can they win it?
I definitely don't think they can win it. I think there's far stronger teams out there, and I'd be backing one of the South American teams, perhaps Brazil or my old mate Aussie, Argentina. Yeah, he's sort of saying to me they're going to go well. So
Argentina used to have Messi and a few others, but now they've got Messi and some good others.
Yeah, exactly. They're not a one-man team without any shadow of doubt, and so I think that might be, and the conditions will suit a South American team, etc. So I think that's the case. In terms of England getting out of their group, I think it's a tough one for them. And people might laugh, but Iran are, I think, in the top 20 teams in the world. I think it's the only group where all the teams are in the top sort of echelons of rankings. And I know FIFA rankings can be skewed, but so Iran are no mugs, and they're going to be playing on their back door. So they're going to be used to the conditions, and Wales will treat it as a Premier League derby. It's and form goes out the window, really. You've got two Premier League teams, both effectively, both playing in the heat. And then you've got the USA, who, train in California, will be used to the conditions, and they will see England as their major scalp. That's all they've ever wanted to do since the sort of 1700s.
They can't score a goal. Christian Pulisic plays for Chelsea. When he comes on, can't score a goal. He's the top scorer for the USA by miles.
But in that international scene, they get that chance and he might take it.
Unless he's got a twin brother hiding somewhere in Hershey, Pennsylvania. That's Gus Ferguson talking about the England team and Harry Kane in particular, as England go in search of a second win at the World Cup, having won 6-2 against Iran on the opening day. Fantastic performance. Let's hope they can continue with the good moves and all of those goals. Now, we're happy to support the Lillywhite Foundation.com, advancing young people through sport. For more information on the foundation, simply go to their website, lillywhitefoundation.com. You're listening to the Ultimate Football Show podcast. Before we go, we should mention the news, of course, Gary, about Cristiano Ronaldo. The news broke recently that he's terminated the contract at Manchester United with immediate effect. Probably no surprise there after the interview, of course. You sort of said early on it's time for him to hang up his boots and just call it a day. Is that still your thought, or what do you think happens now to Ronaldo after this World Cup?
Well, I can see him going to America, and that's probably better where he's better suited going there. There's been rumours about him going to an English club. I very much doubt that. And Chris, I don't know if you know, he's actually brought out a watch, one that you must get, and it's made by Jacob and Co. They're a leading watch company, and would you believe it? It's got a picture of Ronaldo on the front cover of the watch, scoring a headed goal against what team, Chris?
Not against Manchester United, surely.
You've got it, Manchester United. It's a picture. Maybe he knew that. Maybe he sort of knew that, and that's why he wants to leave. But it's a headed goal against Manchester United, and it's quite a reasonable watch, Chris. I think that the starting value is £150,000. I don't know if you're interested at all, but yeah,
150 grand for a watch.
But for a watch, I mean, he has been a fantastic player, Ronaldo. You've got to say that, and he's been brilliant the way he's handled himself. The last few months, I think he should have gone in the summer, Chris. That is the time he should have gone. Not during the season. He should have done it in the summer whatever he wanted to do. Obviously, he's always had his thoughts about playing somewhere else. But should have gone about 4 or 5 months ago.
When I was a kid, I used to have a watch and it had a face on it, and it was Mickey Mouse, and he used to sort of nod his head back and forth when the second hand moved around. But I don't think my mum paid 150 grand for it, so
150 pence, no,
not even that. It's probably 2 and 11 back in the day when old decimal age. Before that, actually, that's incredible. And what a day for Manchester United fans! They lose Ronaldo, and the Glazers decide that, oh, by the way, we might fancy selling the club. You've just got to be careful. And I've spoken to you about this off air. It's okay selling the club and looking for new owners. Be careful what you wish for, because you don't know who you're going to get coming in. You know, it's not going to be the local butcher that's decided he's found 2 billion in his fridge somewhere. This is going to be a very rich man or rich people coming in. They're going to want to dominate, as we saw with Newcastle and Saudi Arabia. We saw with Manchester City when they were purchased, and we've seen with Paris Saint-Germain, with Qatar buying them as well. You know, the people that are going to come in for a club like Manchester United, which is worth 2 billion plus, they are not going to be out there looking to sell chips on the cheap outside Old Trafford, are they?
No, they're going to come in, and obviously I've seen it done at Chelsea. You know, with Roman Abramovich going. It's a difficult time for the club. Obviously, they're going to be billionaires, and they'll have their thoughts. But also, you know, you look at when they do come in, all of a sudden, is the manager going to get more money, or is he going to get less money? And they still need to build on that side, that Man United side. You know, you're talking about the Man United from 6 years ago when Alex Ferguson was. What a club, and what a well-run club. It'd be a difficult time to be a Man United supporter.
Well, usually when a new owner comes in, the manager slips out the side door, doesn't he? I mean, even Thomas Tuchel couldn't survive the new ownership at Chelsea, and he looked pretty solid having won the Champions League. So Ten Hag, I'm not sure how many more days he's going to have. If a new owner's come in, they generally want to bring in their own man. I mean, Eddie Howe at Newcastle was the case. Pep came in at City. That's the way it goes, isn't it, really? And Liverpool up for sale as well. And again, you don't know who's going to come in and buy. Sometimes it's better the devil you know than the one you're going to get in. But really interesting times for Manchester United. And Ronaldo, yeah, it could be MLS. Does he shouldn't be playing in the MLS, should he? I mean, end of a career. Maybe he should just do something. Maybe he should just make some more watches. 150,000. Do you think there's any profit in that, though?
There's one thing you can say about Ronaldo, and people used to say that about no one's bigger than the club. Yeah. No one's. But I have to say, in Ronaldo's defence, I think he was bigger than anything. And he has done things at the club, you know, where he's run off against the managers, run off the pitch, run off down the tunnel. It's not wanted to come on during some games. You know, he's been a brilliant player. I hope he doesn't spoil it.
Great stuff. Thanks, Gary. That's all from us for this episode. We'll be back with episode number 7. Looking at Matchday 7, which takes place on Saturday and sees the return of France, who look very, very good in their opening game, Poland, who need a win after Lewandowski missed the penalty, and Argentina up against Mexico in what is now a must-win game. We'll see you then.